In addition to neurons in the nervous system, we also have these cells called neuroglia, or glial cells. Glia actually translates to glue because back when they were first discovered, people thought that their main job was just to sort of hold everything together in the nervous system, but we now know that they're actually really important to the functioning of the nervous system. Within the central nervous system, our main types of neuroglial cells are astrocytes, microglial cells, ependymal cells, and oligodendrocytes. Astrocytes, or star-shaped cells, these are the most abundant type of glial cell that we're going to see. They are these highly branched cells, that's why they're called star-shaped, that are going to have these processes that are going to end in what are called feet that are going to attach to neurons and synaptic endings and capillaries. And they provide a number of roles inside of the nervous system. They're going to help to support and brace neurons and fill in space. For example, if you get damage to your brain that kills off some of your neurons, astrocytes will proliferate to help sort of fill in that space. They play a role in the exchange between the capillaries and the neurons. Note that we have what's called a blood-brain barrier. Blood, weirdly enough, is actually toxic to neurons. If you put blood on a neural cell, it kills it. So we actually have to maintain a very strong barrier of protection between the blood and the capillaries and the actual neurons. A lot of this is going to be done by the structure of the capillaries in the brain, but these foot processes on the astrocytes are also going to help to maintain and monitor that. It's going to help guide the migration of neurons. Neurons have to grow, travel long distances and grow very long processes, and astrocytes help to guide that. It's going to help to control the chemical environment around neurons. Neurons are really delicate, fragile cells. They need just the right chemical environment in order to survive, and astrocytes are going to help provide that. They are also not just passive cells. It turns out they also respond to nerve impulses and neurotransmitters, and they actually influence the functioning of neurons. They help participate in the actual processing of information in the brain. So they're not just these passive support systems, they actually are really vital to brain function. Microglial cells are the immune cells of the central nervous system. So they're these small cells with these thorny processes that are going to help monitor neurons. If your brain gets injured, they're actually going to migrate to that site of injury and participate in the inflammatory response and the repair of that tissue. They can transform into phagocytic cells in order to help clear debris and microorganisms out of the brain. So these are going to be some of the main defenders of the brain. And then we have our ependymal cells. These are going to be ciliated cells that use their cilia to help circulate what's called the cerebrospinal fluid, or CFS. So these are going to line the cavities of the brain, what are called ventricles, and help move the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid, around, and that's going to be one of the ways that nutrients moves around inside of the brain. They're also going to form a barrier between the central nervous system cells and the cerebrospinal fluid. Our ependymal layer is also going to be the site of progenitor cells for the central nervous system. And then we have these oligodendrocytes. So we talked about them before. These are the cells that provide myelination in the central nervous system. So an oligodendrocyte, we have a single cell that provides myelination for multiple fibers. Within the peripheral nervous system, we only have two main types of neuroglial cells. We have what are called satellite cells. These are going to surround the cell bodies inside of the peripheral nervous system and do a job similar to the astrocytes of helping to maintain the proper chemical environment for the neuron to survive. And then myelination in the peripheral nervous system is going to be done by Schwann cells or neurolemmocytes. The neurolemma is another name for the cell membrane of a neuron. Again, these are going to form the myelin sheaths in the peripheral nervous system, and we have a single cell wrapping around a single axon. These cells actually help to regenerate damaged peripheral nerve fibers. If you damage an axon, it can regrow. However, all of the axon past where the axon gets cut dies off because it's cut off from the main biosynthetic center in the nucleus. So that axon needs to regrow. One of the ways that it knows where to regrow is because these Schwann cells are going to still be there and act as sort of mileposts to guide the regrowing axon where it's supposed to go.